Thank you for joining all of us. Thank you and welcome to CES 2023. We're just so blessed. Not that we don't have a lot of people, we have a lot of people in the crowd, but thank you so much for joining us. We cannot talk about CES if we don't talk about the future. And I think today, in this 30-minute conversation, we'd like to give you a peek about the future of e-mobility, autonomous driving, and of course, vehicle security. And I'm joined by three individuals who are not just the pillars of this vision, but also the business leaders who will take us forward. So on my right, I'm joined by the CTO and founder for Tier IV, Shinpei Kato-san. Welcome.
Hi.
And for VicOne, we're joined by Max Cheng, the CEO. Hi, Max.
Hi, everybody. Welcome into the CES live stream.
And of course, the person and the company who gave us this fantastic platform at MIH, CEO Jack Cheng.
Hi, everyone.
And thank you, Jack, and for your team for giving us this platform. We're really,
welcome.
really pleased. So let's talk about the future of e-mobility. Probably I will take, I'll try to get your opinion about how do you see the future of e-mobility? How do you see that in the next couple of years? I'll probably, since you're close to me, Kato-san, I'll probably ask you first.
So from autonomous driving point of view, so we like to make it, of course, safe. The future e-mobility, we believe that the first priority challenge is make it safe. But based on top of it, we like to provide more values, like to entertain the people, to make it more kind of exciting. To that extent, we can't, predict today. So that's the most exciting thing, that we can't predict how exciting the future e-mobility. But first, like to provide safety.
That's important. Max, what's your take on the future of e-mobility?
Yeah, I think the future of the e-mobility is quite very broad range of topic. I would like to take a little bit more on the cybersecurity expertise side because Jack we're talking about more on his expertise on all the e-mobility. I think as everybody know, for e-mobility in the future, it's not going to be driving. So that is probably the first change. And because it's not going driving, and the e-mobility, it becomes the connective mobility experience. And with that connected experience, as a VicOne Automotive Cybersecurity, we would like to enable to make sure when a car owner enjoy their connected mobility lifestyle experience, we make sure they are cyber safe. Because of it will be connected mobility, it will be the extending on our current connected world. So therefore, the cyber safe for e-mobility is very, very important. And that is the one we are trying to drive in the automotive cybersecurity forward.
Great. Jack?
Thank you, Myla. This is a real honor and good opportunity for three of us to sit together. Max has the same surname as mine, but I'm pretty sure it's not my family brother, but 500 years ago might be the same. Okay? But having talked about a lot about mobility and harmony, you might just ask me, well, the future mobility is harmony. Well, that's a very high level thing. The reality is, the end of the day, we as a human being all gonna come back after we invented the wheels. We all gonna come back to the robot again, as a robot is autonomous, and in the end, as a robot, you have the lifestyle. So, but we can't jump to the robot right now. We have actually several steps to go. Firstly, that you're gonna have an EV. Secondly, that you have autonomous drive. Of course, the infrastructure we can talk about later. But then the later on is how are you gonna make sure the security, the safety, and also lifestyle is gonna be all incorporated into this. So that's what I see in the future as a mobility.
The one common theme I hear is safe and secure. I think that's at least coming from the cybersecurity industry, that gives us a lot of positive outlook. I'll pivot a little bit to two of the critical items in mobility is obviously having the right autonomous driving software that is highly acceptable and relevant to today's challenges, but also having vehicle security. So I'll pivot a little bit, Max, in terms of VicOne. VicOne is a startup company, but obviously backed by 30 years. How do you see VicOne coming into the industry and helping really drive security forward?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think the automotive industry today, I think everybody is focused on two major things. One is make the car as a battery, EV push, and you can see everybody push. The secondary is which is Tier 4 experts pushing more on autonomous driving, and that is two major focus. But I think one thing in the car industry was not doing very well is about the cybersecurity. But we don't forget in the 2005, and there is a Jeep hackers event, and usually the cybersecurity it become very important things in the future connected mobility. And as a VicOne, we would like to remind all the automotive industry player, key player, and the leadership. We need to put the cybersecurity as a part of the mobility agenda. Right now, majority is focused on how to comply the regulation requirement by W.29. But I don't think that is enough to provide the cyber safe. And then secondly, you need to hear your organization put the automotive cybersecurity as part of the DNA. Because to provide a great cyber safety, it's not only implement the system. And in terms of VicOne, actually, that's why we have been involved many different organizations like MIH, like Sophie, like AutoSAR. The reason we do that is the best way to do the cybersecurity is to be part of the automotive EE architecture or the integrator inside the platform. And without that, unlike the current solution, usually they build on the integration, which is the costly and not really provide the holistic solution. And from VicOne, we will be working on all the industry player and also platform player work together to make sure our cybersecurity can be part of the middleware and the platform component, and which can make the car OEM do the cybersecurity easily with less cost, as well as provide better holistic solution. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think holistic is a key word because when we talk about future, you talk about things that are unpredictable but exciting. So holistic, obviously, security is important. Kato-san, Shinpei-san, sorry, Tier 4 is very much known in software design, right? So how do you see innovating e-mobility in the concept of autonomous driving that you're doing right now?
So autonomous driving today is a magic, if not a illusion, comes to the real in the end, but still magic. You have to be a magician to spell that magic, but it doesn't scale. So we like to enable the whole people to build transparent, grounding technology using open source. That's our kind of mission and a vision to build real, secure, safe, and exciting autonomous vehicles with the community. It doesn't really mean that, the structure is going to be flat. It still has to be vertical because you are building safety critical systems. You have to make kind of pyramid structure to kind of finalize safe, secure systems. But this vertical structure must be open such that other vertical structures can also be built on top of the same flat technology components. So we like to make it open source such that we can build your own vertical system. That's what we like to achieve in the future.
Yeah. I think it's providing the platform is it's obviously key. When we talked about obviously we've talked about community, and I'd like to pivot a little bit on the area of collaboration. If there's one organization that we're all pretty impressed in really bringing collaboration, it's MIH, right? Because in front of us today is really the collaboration of many partners that you're able to showcase and bring together. So, Jack, can you talk a little bit about where is MIH coming in this industry, and how do you collectively use a lot of this energy so that partners like us can join you stronger in the future?
See, when you mentioned Myla, about MIG people claps, right? So I was, oh, see, it's even more.
The impact.
I think that for MIH as a mobility in harmony, we want to think people after the COVID, after 3 years of the lockdown, we really have to cooperate together. Basically, if you are not sharing, if you are not working together, you're gonna stump into another trouble because the data is not transparent enough. The other thing is a protection of your privacy with whatever we can have on the security system and also the decentralized ID information, so we can actually move forward very, very safely to protect everybody's privacy, and also make sure the solution, when it is hammered out by collaboration, will be protected. So I think the most challenging thing is how do you make sure everybody work together? Mobility in harmony, MIH, is something that the first disruptive process, so we can bring the automotive industry together and moving toward the next generation of the platform, leveraging the EV platform as well. So I think that's what we do. We just started. We need more people to join, and I will be very happy to see after the CES our membership is increasing.
And I think the upward movement is all that we want. I'd like to cover, you're obviously covering an important part of the entire EV platform. What do you see currently in front of us as the biggest threat or challenge that you see at the moment? Maybe I'll start with Jack and then followed by Max.
Yeah, people will mention, the infrastructure, the government policy. How do you make sure the regulation is not being stipulated into the future, and then the autonomous drive will be a challenge because there are no people sitting in the car. You're coming like for a terrorist, tour. But things like that, we have to hammer it out on government basis. But the end of the day is really to move forwards, that we have to build a zero trust and make sure that everything is building based on a very, very good protocol, so we can move forwards. I think that's the things. And pounding on that, all the OEM now seeing we have an open system, please join us. I know some OEM are working together now, but it's not good enough. We have to have more people and build a critical mass on a skateboard platform and put as much software on top of it with the talent pool that we can gather from the world. So actually make the user experience the superb experience, and then making the car, the platform itself, as a commodity. So you lower the cost, lower the timing of development, but you maximize the user and the enterprise approach.
Interesting. Max, your take on the challenges that you see on the industry?
Yes, I think the one of the things we first do thinking about the e-mobility trending is not about the make a better car. We need to consider that it's really the technology disruption and innovation. And we partner with the MIT together because the MIT open platform create an opportunity for the better e-mobility ecosystem and industry. And that is a really, really important part of it. And I think the first challenge is we need to think about the e-mobility. It's really the technology innovation. And that is a very important part. That involve how is the people thinking about the e-mobility should be, and other than thinking about just driving a car, and you need to think about the mobility will be shaped on the future. That is part of it. And secondly, I think the one of the things as you Jack already mentioned is about regulation. Since it's not a car, but our currently government is through by the car, and which will be make it so difficult on e-mobility to go to his future vision because of mobility is not the car. So therefore, I think the government side, the regulation side, need to thinking about how to adapt into the e-mobility. And lastly, as a bigger one, automotive cybersecurity, I think one of the challenges of the e-mobility to realize in the remote vision actually is the cybersecurity of e-mobility. And I mentioned in earlier, actually right now the cybersecurity was not be the priority on anyone to do the car OEM except the MIT put the cybersecurity as a priority. And because of without cyber safe, there is no e-mobility. I think that is the biggest challenge of the e-mobility. Thank you.
It is obviously a barrier to break eventually, hopefully with this partnership. Shinpei-san, what about your take?
And the challenge that I think is to have the same understanding about what open platforms really means. So, as I aforementioned, open platforms doesn't really mean that everything is going to be open. So there is open, flat kind of standard or de facto standard just as underlying your system. And you only find your missing pieces from the open platforms, and you can also make your system transparent so that more partners, more people can also join your system. So if we have the same understanding about what open platform really means, then more people can actually participate in, contribute to MIH, just come to listen to Jack singing a song.
Which I think he will not disappoint us. I think so, right? We have lights, we have camera. Yeah, we have a singing band. We've talked about threats. When you go, I'm sure we all have been around visiting the West Hall and the North Hall. There's so many excitement, obviously, in CES. I'd like to maybe I want you guys to talk a little bit about the exciting things you're bringing in for 2023 and onwards. What are you showcasing right now for CES? I'll probably start with Max. What is in the gift box that we have for VicOne? What is our showcase?
I think you're walking around the CES floor plan from any car, big OEM and anything. They are all talking about either talking about the digital customer experience, and if you're looking for the even more fancy show from the Hyundai Mobius, you can see everything is talking about how will it be future mobility about. And from VicOne Cybersecurity, especially when we see the mobility is really associated with all the mobility lifestyle experience inside the mobility equipment, right? I don't want to call it a car. And therefore, I think in this year, our new in the CES is we develop and innovate a solution called Smart Cockpit Cybersecurity. The end goal is to make sure this solution is going to secure the car owner when they are enjoying their e-mobility life experiences. They can become safe mobility life experience. That's new from VicOne. Thank you.
So it's attaching a little bit more of what the consumer are doing and making sure that whatever they do inside the car, they're really protected, right? So that's okay. Interesting. Jack, yesterday you had a wonderful press conference. You talked about one exciting project. You may want to expound on that.
You want to make me stand up, and I would really want to stand up and sing, but
Go ahead.
the thing is that I was just kidding. What, as a human being, you want to think about all this? This is after 3 years of lockdown, everybody come back. It's so popular now. You have people, bumper to bumper. What excitement. But there's things that we have to rethink about our strategy. we have to not only just work as a team, but the other thing is, how do we want to inspire our next generation to have a better self? A lot of people are living now through the millennial kids as 20 years old guys now. They're living through the digitalization. But can we ask those kids to follow our step, or we need to tweak a little bit and make sure they are protecting not only their lifestyle, but also somebody else's lifestyle. So within these boxes that I've been through in the CES, I saw a lot of people pushing for technology, this another technology. But guess what? All the technology is trying to serve you to improve your life rather than just a technology showcase. So I would see as an exhibitor, our lifestyle show, maybe we have a smaller booth, but we want to put everything here. We want to have more exposure. So you need to make sure there's a community built up after CES that as an EV or in the future, the mobility platform, how can we work together as a community? So I would really see the next year CES should be more classified as not only consumer electronics, this is becoming more like a car show now, but you need to have a lifestyle show. So that's something I would expect that's going to happen next year.
And I think you and Max are talking of the same thing, that lifestyle is changing. We need to adapt, but we need to adapt as safe and secured, right? So I think it's a song that we will be singing in the future, right?
I'll make a song.
Yeah, we'll make a song for that one. I'm wrapping up for the next 5 minutes. Let's talk about the entire team is empowering the next level of mobility. So if there is one or two things that it's anyway, 2023, you always wanted to wish for something new, right? So what is that one or two things that your company will bring forth as we now empower this entire industry? What are the biggest things that you want to bring in so that we can really make sure that it doesn't just be a vision, but we can work together to make it and execute it in terms of empowering e-mobility in the next level? What is that next level for you? Shinpei-san, you want to start?
So even today, there are quite a few number of EVs, autonomous vehicles built on top of open platforms, and they operating in commercial production. But they most likely retrofitting, so it's quite still challenging to scale. So what we can empower the future of this mobility is we can build a process. So we can even teach the community how to build autonomous vehicles, EVs, using open platforms, not just retrofitting, using a process. That's what we are kind of looking forward to showcasing next CES, hopefully with all of us.
Correct. Jack or Max, your take?
Yes, I think we are talking about the near term 2023. I really very passionate about the so-called safe mobility experience. So I wish by end of 2023, VicOne Automotive Security smart car-based cybersecurity solution can on all the new EV on the market. And the reason is not about I want to make a revenue. The reason is really we need to make sure in the day one, this is the first phase of e-mobility. We need to put the cybersecurity already in place to make all the mobility experience become safe. That's called the cyber safe mobility experience. So that's our major driving on the 2023.
And you made a little bit harder for us, but we'll do it. Okay, Jack?
As I promised, we will have a bigger booth next year.
Yay.
All right. So what we're going to do is that few more product into it, right? So next year we're going to have a demo car. We're going to have more of the product coming in because there will be more participants from the OEM industry, from also the partnership. we are really seeing this is becoming a coverage of not only a sustainable environmental issue a solution, but also for our next level of the lifestyle. So I think we should probably put this as a stand, but it's not even in the future, it won't be called a stand, it will be an innovation center. So more young kids will come here and have a party together rather than just coming here, have a look, and then say, okay, we're gone. It should be more data sharing as well, so we will be more digitalized. And to the next level, last but not the least, you have to be more ESG viable. So thank you very much. This is my wrap up.
Good. And ESG is very important, sustainability and growth. I'll close it up with one word. So if you have one strong, powerful word of aspiration for how we will see e-mobility in the future, what would that one big word be? Shinpei-san?
Open source.
Open source. Okay, cool. Jack?
Make it happen. MIH.
Max, you have the final strong word.
Safe e-mobility experience.
Okay. Thank you. And that wraps up our fireside chat. And as you can see, it's not just technology, it's not just connectivity, but it's the power and the vision of leaders like Jack, Max, and Shinpei-san that will make it happen. Thanks for joining us. In behalf of VicOne, we thank again MIH for giving us the platform. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.